Welcome to Biz Dev Live. My name is Cameron Toth. I am your host live every day at 11 a.m. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, mash that up. YouTube loves that to get it out. I have the amazing Cher Jones on the show today. We're going to talk about personal brand strategy. She is amazing at lives. We're going to have a great show today. Stay tuned so that you can learn about how to explode your personal brand and really take advantage of social media to do that. All that and more when we come back from the Biz Dev thing.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
So I want to introduce you to Cher Jones. Cher Jones, thanks for being on the show today. I'm going to read your bio here. Here we go. Cher Jones is a corporate social media trainer and personal branding coach with the love of technology hardwired into her personality. As the founder of Socially Active Training, she leverages over 20 years of PR, marketing, and broadcasting experience to help professionals, leaders, and business-to-business entrepreneurs develop a credible and strategic online presence while teaching them how to use social media at work for business. Her passion, knowledge, and expertise have many referring to her as one of North America's leading experts in online personal branding for professionals. She has worked internationally with a wide variety of organizations, including Rogers, Hong Kong Police, Poker Stars, BlackBerry, Industrial Alliance, the City of Toronto, MPI, the UK Trade and Investment, the Ontario Ministry of Education, and CBC, to name a few. Cher is also the host of a weekly LinkedIn live stream called Just Ask Cher. Check out that hashtag Just Ask Cher live, where she offers tips and advice to help you develop a powerful and professional brand online. Welcome to the show, Cher Jones.
Ooh, welcome. First of all, your hype music in the beginning. I was like in the back, I was just like nodding my head. I was like, this is cool. Getting me ready already.
That's right. That's what we got to do here. I got to work on things, and you'll appreciate this from the YouTube side. So I got this song, used Fiverr, got it, but there's like, he got the beat from somebody, so I got to add in another beat here, and we'll get it a little bit more excited. But to avoid like copyright stuff,
Right.
where we have permission, but for some reason, because he leased the beat and all that, it always pops up. So I'm like, all right, we got to go completely original, not tied to anything else, so that I can avoid the little pop-ups and just make my life easier. So I got to push myself to get through that.
Damn you, Fiverr! Damn you!
And it's awesome, and it's the permission is there. So every time like I dispute the copyright thing, it works out. But it's just one of those annoyances. Like, all right, we got to completely go back and make sure we get a beat that is completely not tied to anything else, that completely original, because even though I own it, it just is creating this extra work on the back end. The trials and tribulations of a content producer. So welcome again, Cher. Thank you so much for being on the show. Talk to people and tell people, I know I just gave you that amazing introduction, but talk to people about the services that you offer. Talk about the live. I've been watching you on LinkedIn and was checking out the amazing job that you do in terms of producing content consistently. So tell people a little bit about what you're doing right now, and then we'll get into the backstory, the passion, the why.
The backstory. It's all about the backstory, Cameron. But to let people know what I'm doing right now is, guys, I pretty much focus on two main areas. It used to be three, and hopefully three again, which is like the speaking, but on stage speaking, which I absolutely miss. But right now, it's corporate social media training, and I specifically focus in that personal brand for business. So teaching people how to use social media at work, for work, as well as not just in the corporate side. So I'm working with leaders and consultants, as well as subject matter experts, but then I'm also working with, service-based entrepreneurs as well. And in a coaching capacity, and teaching them how to develop a professional brand. Specifically, I focus primarily on LinkedIn because that is where the corporate money is at. So if you're doing B2B, you've got to have a presence there. And most people in the past and right now, you don't know until you know, but once you know, it changes everything. So a lot of people on LinkedIn, they show up looking like they're looking for a job, but yet they're there for business every single day. So it's a completely different positioning and activity set as far as what you're doing on LinkedIn, so that you not only have the credibility, but you also have the visibility, and that matters. So I basically, whether I'm training a team or one-on-one coaching with a leader or an entrepreneur, that's what I do. I'm helping people develop that professional digital presence, and for those who want to really evolve into that personal brand online.
I love it. And I think one of the things that makes me incredibly passionate and excited to talk to you today is just this great understanding. And I sort of awakened formally into this last year. I understood the importance of putting out media for the staffing company. I have a hospitality staffing company in Westchester that's been alive and kicking for the last 10 years and done well. A little challenged by the pandemic, but still no worse for wear. We're getting busy again. But the idea that you have to create media to really push the ball forward on marketing, for scaling, growing your company, and not only does it help you with, potentially new customers, it helps you stay in front of the existing customers to stay fresh in their minds so that people continue to remember you and use you. And also the idea that, as you grow your company, you have people working for you, that they can feel proud of the brand and point to it in the marketplace to increase not only your marketing efforts with clients, but also with internally with potential employees, which for us is always a big issue. We need more staff. We need more staff. We need more staff to serve the client. So it's a big deal. And when done correctly, it's a lot of fun, and it's it's really nice to have, especially when you go to a networking meeting and they're like, "Oh, I've seen your stuff," right? I see it all the time, and I'm sitting there like, I don't post enough, and they're like, "Oh, you're on all the time." I'm like, yeah, okay. All right. So talk to us. How did you get so passionate about this? Obviously, you're amazing at it. So talk to us about that journey. If you're anything like me, didn't start out amazing at it. I think most people think, "Oh man, I'm not great at camera. I can't do it. I can't do what Cher Jones does." And I know a little bit of that is, you got to have your mindset there, but it does take practice, right? We all get better as we go. So how did you get past those original hurdles? How did you get passionate about it? And where did this whole really inspiration for marketing and branding come from to begin with? And I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but I want to hear the whole story. But
exactly, I'm like cherry picking. I'm like, where do we go first? You give me so many options, but it's awesome.
What other things were you thinking of, and why did you choose this path instead of the other paths that you could have walked down?
All right. Well, I'll start with this. What I do now is a convergence of everything that I've been doing over the last 20 years. And it's a phenomenal place to be. I find that when when you're in your 40s and whatnot, you really step into your own. You recognize what you're bringing to the table. You know what you're good at, what you're not, what you want to improve, and what you're saying, you know what? I don't need to be the best at that. But I think right now we're coming into this, or at least I'm coming into this time and space where I recognize the gifts that I've been given and where my purpose lies. And so I look at my career. I started my career in sports broadcasting. I used to be a pre and a post game producer for the Raptors. We have a a TV, an NBA TV channel, Raptors TV. So way back in the days, I'm talking like if I drop some names, you realize how old I am. So Chris Bosh, like that's probably the superstar that was here at the time. Vince Carter had just left. So right around that time. And I was producing for a pre and post game show, and it was awesome. I loved it. I thought that was my life. I thought that's where I'm going to live and die in sports broadcasting. And then when I had my second son, Kobe, so I was married and I had 2 kids, and my second son, Kobe, at the time, who is now 18, but at the time, when we had him, we recognized just the challenge of working nights and weekends in sports. Like that, it was a challenge. So it wasn't quite working out for my family. So I shifted into marketing and communications because I went to school for journalism. So that was my background, broadcast journalism, and then, transferable skills. And that's really what it's all about. And you'll find that entrepreneurs, when they can step into their own, what they're doing is they're cherry picking their different skill sets along the way. And that's that point of differentiation, right? So for me, I moved from broadcasting into marketing, and I was doing a lot of copywriting. I thought I was going to be $1 million copywriter, right? Have my work from home business, when way back then that was like, what? You're going to do what? That's not even a thing. Now it's like, yeah, that's awesome. That's normal. But back then it wasn't even a thing. Anyways, did that for a while, and I still didn't land at the spot that I wanted to be. I wasn't like totally there yet, but I got a lot of skills in that hardcore direct mail marketing area. Also working with different companies and consulting different companies and helping them develop their marketing strategy. Did a little bit of facilitation. And then in 2009, I shifted from marketing and communications over into corporate communications and PR. And I started working for the city of Toronto, and I was managing an entire division's communications. And at this point in 2008, Obama just won the election leveraging social media. So this is where this is all coming in. So stick with me, guys. I promise. The convergence will be obvious. So what was happening for me is while I was at the city, they were starting to develop policies for social media and who could use social media, how social media can be used. But I found that a lot of the people, they had either a traditional communications background, or they had or they were using, they had a web background, but that didn't mean social media. They're peripheral skills, but you really had to understand social media. And I've been using social media since before MySpace was cool. Right. So I'm talking like ICQ, I'm talking like AOL online, like I'm talking like internet on a disc. You know what I mean? Like I was using it. And so
I remember the AOL disc. We had a few of them, using them for coasters. Yeah, I remember them.
Remember, we got 75 hours of the internet, and you thought life is golden. And then, it's like, do you know how much time is wasted on 75 hours of the internet back in the 90s? Like your day is just taken away. But anyways, what happened was, while I was there, this is my first foray into personal branding without labeling it personal branding, because I developed a reputation of someone who understands social media. And at the time I told my manager, this is happening and I need to be in that room. And he got me in the room, and I was able to effectively guide, potentially lead I didn't lead in the actual position, but I was a strong voice in the decision-making process around social media. And then what happened is my internal clients were saying, hey, can you speak to this group about social media? Can you speak to that group about social media? And so that they don't, one of them was about, youth and youth employment and stuff like that. And, tell them about, don't use social media and post drunk photos. I'm like, well, yeah, but why don't we tell them how to use social media to get what they want? And then that was when it was like, boom, lights came on, right? And this time video wasn't even a big thing yet. It was just about you share links and you put your resume up, but then it was about the power of positioning, which took me back into my copywriting, which took me back into my marketing lens, and then still understanding, other aspects of working in a very conservative government setting as far as how people did things. Anyways, fast forward, my clients are leveraging me to develop their strategy for social media, because it was a social development division. So it's a lot of the stuff they're doing in different priority neighborhoods. And that doesn't always get press. Like every ribbon cutting, people don't want to, they don't care. They don't want to go. So the press may not want to be there. So we had to create our own media. So now I'm now stepping into my broadcast journalism and being able to create content that we could tell our own story. And anyways, develop strategies for my division. And then other people are saying, hey, we should talk to Cher about what we should do for our division. So different areas in the government. But all of a sudden, is if you said social media, you said Cher Jones in the same sentence. And then my clients started referring me, my internal clients, so the people I serve, started referring me to external partners. So different organizations. And then all of a sudden, it was like, I didn't have the 6 months in the bank to leave my job 4 years later, but what I did have is 6 months worth of contracts, and that was good enough for me. As much as I loved my job, I wanted to really dive into this space. So I started while I was still on the job. I started my business on the side in 2011, and it is going to be 10 years that this is going on, which is amazing for me. And I'm incredibly stoked and excited. But in 2013 is when I decided to jump on this ship full time. And what I noticed as an entrepreneur is, you have to iterate to innovate, because I don't think the world was ready for primetime social media as of yet, because the adoption rate wasn't there. I mean, it is accelerated now, but this was, figuring things out along the way, and then recognizing the power of personal branding. And then over the last, I would say 3.5 years has really been where I've been specializing, and I keep on niching in further. And that was something as an entrepreneur, I wasn't able to niche in the beginning. And I think that most entrepreneurs struggle with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, whenever I see somebody in the networking space where they are struggling with their soundbite, my services, I help everybody.
Yeah.
If you're breathing, I help you. If you have skin, I help you. Right. I've seen that from the goods, like Melaleuca folks, if you have skin, I can help, and I think that what people don't understand is that, we live off of specificity, right? We live off of, connections, and those connections are really drawn by, if I say to you, oh, I work with Facebook, your mind goes to Facebook and you can understand that. Whereas if you say social media, even, I think people are like,
it's like saying you work in IT.
It's just,
like, what does that mean?
Like, transference of data, like the movie snippet of just, thousands of comments being put out, and, people picking up cell phones, and, the dark web, and it just goes crazy. Right.
Yeah.
But I love that you threw in there a couple things that I want to comment. First of all, the fact that, whether it's your business or social change, you mentioned Obama's campaign making really great use of social media. And we've seen that on, the divides of the political spectrum for good and for bad, depending on where you are in the political spectrum. And so I think it's one of those things that you just got to know that it's happening. I mean, for so long, so many people, and I pay attention a lot to Gary Vee, and he was a big part of my inspiration of getting very active on YouTube over the last year. But the idea that every company needs to be a media company, and you can be a part of the conversation, or you can choose not to be, but the conversation is going to happen with or without you, right? So do you want to be a part of it? And social media is this whole piece. So I love that you threw the political piece in there, because I think people that are trying to make an impact on the world, you're not going to get it from being shy, right? You're not going to get it from hiding behind the scenes. There's got to be this presence there. And then another piece that I really love that you were talking about in terms of working with youth in particular, and I've been in this situation as well, talking to high school students, about what not to do, but the idea of what you can do, right? This is how you can use it and really utilize it. And I think whether you're talking to students, you're talking to communities, you're talking to employees, the idea of focusing on what you can do versus
Yes.
what you can't do is the way you want to go, right? The
And it's
idea that,
also a game changing perspective. I mean, when you show people how to fish instead of saying, don't do this, you actually catch some fish, right? So that's what you got to look at it in that way. And it's so important. And I think it's game changing because so many people are so confused about what they should be doing, right? And they focus on, they think they're going to break the internet. If they post the wrong post, all hell is going to break loose. And that's not the case. So it's really about empowering people and also providing that perspective on how to do it well, what makes sense, like from a conversion perspective. So yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even going back to what you're saying, even with the niching, and we see that, especially early entrepreneurs. So if there's any early entrepreneurs watching, finding your niche, I truly believe is a rite of passage. It takes time. You got to say, and this is what I've been telling so many people when they're starting their business, is you've got to say yes until you know it's a no. Because, right, especially in the beginning, when you don't know exactly what you're going to do, and then people kind of shame you for saying, I serve everyone, and I get it, because it's a rite of passage, but you got to say yes. But the minute you know it's a no, don't do it anymore. That's when you got to say no. And that's the mistake that entrepreneurs make. And that's how they can't niche, is because they continue to say yes to things that they hate doing. So that's what I think is really important.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really important. I think I've had that issue, and we have it in common. I started up Toth Event Staffing in 2011, just going on that hospitality journey, and then really got into this whole journey last year with doing these lives. And so we share that a little bit in common as well. And the idea that, through my entrepreneurship journey, I've had clients where, I'm sitting there and I'm saying yes. I don't want to say yes.
Yeah.
But I'm saying yes, and then just regretting it over and over again, right? Because you knew you're going down. And also, even clients that aren't necessarily a pain in the butt, but segments, right? So, I work really well with caterers. I work really well with private home events and planners and that sort of thing. But restaurants, they're just not my clientele. And, every now and then I'm like, well, there's a lot of restaurants in the world. Let me try to service that. It just doesn't work. And so every time I've been burned, right? And I talk myself out of it, and I stay out of it for a while. And then some other opportunity gets thrown by me another way. And I'm like, well, I'll give it a chance. Doesn't work out. Right. So just getting to know to your point, right? Just really getting very comfortable with it. Now, if somebody comes to me and they say they're a restaurant, no matter how nice they are, how good they are, let me refer you over to here. I'm sure they can help.
That's it. That's it. And I mean, for the newer entrepreneurs out there watching, sometimes you have to say yes because you need the money. We get it. And just take it, grin and bear it, get through it. But the minute you can say no, right? Say no. Because that stuff, I remember this one woman, I'll never forget. It's like probably the best advice I've ever received as an entrepreneur. It was, know your resentment number. That is the number at which you will, if it goes any lower than that, you will resent the work. And that has been a guiding force for me as far as just that guiding wisdom that will forever help me with saying yes or no. Because the minute I even a couple of weeks ago, I had some person wanting training, and they're like, oh, can you do the training for the X amount? And I said, no, because you have to recognize as well that you're disrespecting your other customers if you are willing to cut corners like that. And it's like, I respect my clients, and I have pretty standardized pricing, because my parents are entrepreneurs as well. And so I learned that from them. And then the client was like, or the potential client was like, okay, well, can you do a train the trainer approach? Just like, yo, you can't be me. And I'm not saying that I can't help you, but you can't be me in an hour. Can I just, get some tips? No, go watch my YouTube, like go on YouTube, go find me and go watch and, do like what everybody else does who wants to fake it till they make it. You watch a couple of YouTube channels and kind of memorize the script and you're good to go. But no, and you just got to know.
Right. It
Because
goes
I
back
resent
to
the work.
you're not spending, the money for an hour of my time. You're spending the money for the last 30 years of my experience, right? That
100%. And even if I gave you an hour, you think you can, I didn't wake up like this. You know what I mean? It's not even especially for the objective or the outcome that you want. I can't serve you that way. You can't get what you want. I'm going to absolutely lower your expectation of what you want. And so
it
can't.
It gets back into can do, right? If I say yes to you, then I can't do what I want to do. And I can, right? I can serve my clients. I can do a great job over here, but I can't do that if I say yes to you. So I'm going to focus on what I can do and not what I can't do, right? I'm going to focus on what I enjoy. I love, I think one of the most influential books in my life has been Timothy Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. And the idea there not being that you're literally only working 4 hours a week, but that you get down to about 4 hours a week, what you absolutely have to do, but maybe don't enjoy doing that much. Maybe that's the delegation piece. Maybe that's sorting through some emails. Maybe that's, really getting down to like nitty gritty things. Maybe you don't enjoy your finances. You got to spend 4 hours on that, whatever that case may be. But you spend the majority of the time on things that you would almost do for free if you had unlimited funds and didn't need to work, right? You get to enjoy on the things that you have a passion on, which I think, all of us entrepreneurs out there, that's sort of what we're trying to do. That's why we left corporate. That's why we decided to work for ourselves, as we wanted to sort of own our hours, own our own life, not be lashed and chained to the till, so to speak, and be able to move and operate in a way where we can actually come from our place of desire and place of fulfillment. I want to get into your takeaways here. We'll start with this one. You need to brand yourself a lot.
A lot. Yes. So, it sounds so basic, right? But the work is not basic. So one of the things that you have to do as an entrepreneur, as a professional, as a leader, as a consultant, anything, subject matter experts, you need to make sure that people you give people the language to talk about you when you're not in the room, because referrals happen when you're not in the room. So one of the reasons why I love LinkedIn so much, just as far as, even if it's for some entrepreneurs, for some business owners, it is just a landing page for them. It's a digital landing page where I can find out, it's like an about section where I can find out about you. But the awesome thing about LinkedIn is when you do it right, when you leverage that about section, when you're leveraging the right content, featuring the right content, you got the right picture, you got the right headline, you're giving people the ability to talk about you, because there's no other platform, social platform, that really truly allows you the space or provides the space to articulate what it is you do and how you serve. The mistake that people make, and this is where it becomes from, are you branded as a job seeker? Or are you branded as a professional, an entrepreneur, or whatnot? Because it's two different paths. Job seekers, they focus on all the stuff that they've done to get the job they want, right? Whereas as an entrepreneur, business owner, a leader, a consultant, what they need to do is focus on how they can help you, backed up by all the stuff they lean on that provides them that experience level that you can trust me to do the job. So it's customer centric as opposed to me centric. And that positioning alone is game changing. And so that's what people need to recognize. And then through content, and this is where the Alot comes into play, because the social wheel these days gets the grease. Relationships are built, not all of them obviously, but especially now in this current climate, a lot of things are built based off of our digital presence, based off of us connecting digitally. You can create opportunities for yourself. So if you are opportunity ready, like, look, Cameron, you found me on the interwebs, right? You saw me, you read about me, you saw me in action with my content, and you see me how my flex and like how I interact and engage with people. And then you reached out to me. Again, this is all digital. I didn't even know you were looking at me. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, all these opportunities, and this is why we need to be opportunity ready. And this is why you need to brand yourself a lot. The more you want, the more you require. That being said, that doesn't mean that you have to put out content to a level that is beyond your capacity, right? You got to work within your capacity, but you got to be smart about it. You got to be consistent about it. You got to show up, and then you got to give. So that's what I'd say about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a challenge, right? I mean, the idea, and I struggle with it, even having a show that I go live daily with. And sometimes I will take the pressure off myself a little bit and say, Cameron, you're doing a daily show, you're putting stuff out, regularly. But then I'm like, am I promoting the show enough? Am I, creating something where the growth is happening? Am I staying, consistent with promoting to these other social media and taking advantage of stuff? And I think one of the big things, whether it's, Clubhouse, which is the new craze, right? In social media, or LinkedIn, you look at these things and you're saying, at least I'm saying, man, here is an opportunity. Am I taking advantage of it? And yes, it can be time consuming. And so, you want to show up, you want to be intentional, right? Can you talk about how because you do a great job showing up on LinkedIn Live. Fortunately, you have LinkedIn Live, right? Not everybody has that, but how do you sort of choose where to show up and where to focus your time? Because as we were talking about before, right? Social media it's all over the place. Am I spending time on Instagram? Am I spending time on Facebook? Am I, putting different posts on different, all these different platforms? How crazy am I going with this? Right.
Right. Well, the one thing I love to tell people is the grass is greener where you water it, and you can't water all the grass everywhere. Right. So you got to pick your money networks. You know what I'm saying? You got to get out there and, figure out where's the best bang for your buck. So how do you do that? Well, you got to take a look at your clients. They're everywhere. They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, they're even on Twitter, they're on YouTube, they're everywhere. But where are they in the mindset to receive what you want to talk about? And are you able to create content that will get you to hello in that platform? So for example, for me, it's like, sure, I can create some like real cool, fun, well, cool is subjective, because my older son would be like, Mom, that's not cool. Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs playing out of their cool pay grade. I'll tell you that much on Instagram and on TikTok with their reels, right? And their TikTok videos, right? They're like, you're not that cool. That you passed your prime on that one, and I'm not judging. I'm just saying.
I'm not judging, but I'm judging.
You're so I'm so judging. I wish I could fix my face where I wasn't judging, but I'm just like, this stuff doesn't okay, yes, it's a visibility play. So I get that from a strategy perspective, but does it make me respect you? No. Does it make me respect? Okay, here, better yet. Does it make me respect you more? No. Does it teach me anything really in 15 seconds and 1 minute? Yeah, sure, you can get these little things and you can stay top of mind. I get it. But and if I had the capacity to do that, plus the depth of stronger content that really causes the conversion, then I can justify time doing the smaller little pieces. But for me, because my business is all about knowledge transfer, I got to prove that I got it. I got to prove that I can apply it. I got to make people recognize and feel and understand what it'd be like to work with me. I can't point my way in a 60-second video, 45-second video, 15-second video to words, and convince you in that moment that I'm the one you need to work with. Again, if I have the capacity, so this is no judgment, I'm just saying, just be smart with where you're going to be first. Figure out where your anchor is. And then the other stuff is supplemental to lead people back to the content depth. And so again, I think the key word there more than anything else is your capacity. Go where you're going to win first. Dive into that, and then think about the feeders, the feeder networks. And again, the grass is greener where you water it. The more time you invest in one network is the more, and I don't necessarily think that you should put all your eggs in one basket, because that's kind of hard too. So what's your strategy about getting them off the network and onto maybe an email list or something like that? You have to have those strategies in place, because I've seen people lose access to a network and their business literally overnight, either from a mistake on their side or a mistake on the network side. All of a sudden, overnight, they got nothing.
Yeah, no.
So it's scary.
And you see people that have businesses that are on the fringes of socially acceptable online. I was listening to one story from a woman who had a sex education business, and from her angle, from her perception, she was educating. There was nothing salacious about what she was posting, but it was informational about body parts. So you have pictures of body parts and things like that. And so what did Facebook? They took it down. And so she had a large community, and then she lost access to it. And you have folks that have less controversial stuff like that going on, and still, having challenges of actually using the platform. I love that you talked about pulling emails off the platform. That's why LinkedIn is one of my favorite places, and one of the reasons I choose to focus a lot there, because I feel like it's most easy to pull people off of that platform into your email inbox and newsletters and all that jazz. I think there's a great segue into our next takeaway, which was, keys to creating quality content that converts audience to clients, right? Yeah. And I think one of the things, and just kind of back up what you were saying before, in terms of like the grass is greener where you water it. If you enjoy creating TikToks, I think that's the value of some of these platforms, Clubhouse, TikTok.
I love Clubhouse too. Yeah.
Instagram Reels, right? If you enjoy creating this content, like I see people that are on these platforms, and I'm not in their heads, but it looks like they're getting a lot of enjoyment from creating these pieces of content. It looks like they're generally enjoying themselves. There's other people that look like they're like working at it, and they're, laboring and trying to make something happen. And if you're enjoying it, that's what the whole idea around social media is. Find the place where you're comfortable. Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about this. Keys to creating quality content that actually converts audience to clients, because that was basically the base of your message, right? Is that, all right, if I'm going to choose to be on a platform and I'm choosing to use that platform to support my personal brand and my business, can I actually utilize it to convert clients, right? How can I actually get them from a viewer and seeing the content, which is the first challenge, right, to actually then following through and actually purchasing a service?
Right, exactly. So like if you are using, let's say you're using TikTok, right? And it becomes a feeder to your more to content that will help you convert more. And some people, this is not me dissing TikTok because I'm so LinkedIn, because I've seen a lot of people who just on TikTok alone, they are converting significant business. So I'm definitely not hating on TikTok, but you just got to know how are you, and it depends on what you're talking about. Me in this B2B space, this corporate space, my clients are ready to receive me in different platforms, and I can go deeper faster on LinkedIn, for example, than I can somewhere else. And the buyer's journey is different. So there's different ways. You got to know so a key to creating quality content that converts is first know your audience, know how they need to receive this information from you, know how you're going to bring them along the buyer's journey. Have you even mapped out what that journey is like, right? So what are the things they need to know? What do you need to educate them on the problem that they don't know. Because oftentimes, you might be the person to come in and save the day, but you can only save the day if they know they have the problem that you're going to save them from. So oftentimes your content can be around, educating people to help them identify how bad the problem is, what the problem looks like, which is a great opportunity especially for entrepreneurs who are just getting into the content game and they're afraid, which hopefully you get over being afraid to give it all away, because those who are meant to work with you will work with you. But in the beginning, a great kind of like way to push your way in through with really quality based content is prepare your clients to work with you, right? So what are the things they need to know before they start on this journey? What are the things they need to understand? How can they identify certain things? You can create content all around that. You can create content around your process, or create content around the end game. What happens when you receive the change that you're looking for, when you buy the product? There's so many things, mapping out your customer's journey, talking with your customers, all of that. Like, it's just, you got to look at what your clients are asking you and find your sweet spot. So first, find the content that you like to create. So going back to, you said something really brilliant. Like, some people are on TikTok or on Instagram, and they're creating content and they're loving it. That's where they need to start. And then, well, how can I then take that content and perhaps parse it out into different pieces so it makes sense on the different networks, or use that as a jump off point to then go and create something else because you've already done half the work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I one of the things that helps me get up in the morning and continue on this journey, 227 episodes into BizDev Live, is I actually enjoy this, right? So
yes.
It's a big, important piece of the puzzle in terms of if you're going to do anything on social media, right, is actually enjoy what you're doing, because that'll provide the consistency, and there is no growth, at least in my opinion. There's no growth without consistency. You can have a one hit thing. I've seen people on YouTube, hit, more success than I've ever had with a video in terms of like 40,000 views on that particular video, but they weren't able to build a subscriber base because they talked about something that was really interesting, controversial, whatever. And then there was no follow-up. There was no consistency to the content. It's tough to have major life challenges in every single video. And
in social media, it's like that hockey stick, right? So you're just going across, and then all of a sudden you shoot out. You never know when it's going to happen, right? So, that's just something that you have to do.
And I was just going to congratulate Linda Ray and Trevor. Their YouTube channel just hit 1,000 subscribers. They've been on this journey, personal branding. Really excited for them, because they've gotten to that point where I think they can actually monetize YouTube, which is a whole other side of social media, when you're actually able to monetize the platform. Speaking of TikTok, I have a friend at that Loper lady on TikTok. She's got 3 million followers on TikTok, and she's, basically she was posting content, but I started seeing and noticing and paying attention to her like around March of 2020, and she had just a few hundred followers, and then suddenly in May she had like 10,000 followers on TikTok, and with the lives and just consistent, she's very humorous. She was putting humor out on TikTok. And then suddenly, man, the numbers just started ticking up, and I checked in her towards like the fall of last year, and she was into 1 million, and then 2 million, and now 3 million followers on TikTok. So she's earning revenue just from being now an influencer on social media. So, you may start the journey going in one direction, or just doing it because you like doing it, and it may go in a whole nother way, which is something to be said for just throwing your hat in the ring. I don't know that she anticipated. I don't think she anticipated, that she was going to be such a big deal on this platform, and now they're earning revenue.
She's kind of a big deal.
It's an amazing thing. A high school friend that has blown up big on social media. So it's really it's something that's possible, and but it only becomes impossible if you don't actually do it. If you don't actually try, you don't actually put yourself. It's difficult to save money if you don't actually save the money, right?
Yeah.
I think it's difficult to create a media presence if you don't put the media presence out there. So I think that's a major lesson for everybody that's sitting there on the fences, on the sidelines, and that was me. In 2009, I put some videos up for the nonprofit. Nothing intentional, nothing consistent. Just kind of throwing some stuff out there. Didn't do anything intentional to follow it up. 10 years later, there was 40,000 views on some of those videos. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, man, what if I had been intentional? What if I had been creating videos for the nonprofit? We would have been able to create so much more impact with this program. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of the challenges with funding wouldn't be there if I had just been intentional, if I had just just done it. So for folks that are sitting on the sidelines, this is the day.
What's the second best time now, right? I have a very similar experience. So this is my current show. I've been doing it on LinkedIn Live just over almost 2 years now. So I've had access I'd say in June will be 2 years that I've had access and been actively broadcasting. But my first live broadcast was actually back in 2013 to 2014. It was with YouTube. So it wasn't actually YouTube at the time. It was Google Hangouts on air. And I had a show with my cousin called the Lori and Cher Show, Hacking into Awesome. Okay. So when you talk about regret of not continuing on, this was regret. We got to 1,000 followers, 1,000 subscribers, everything. We had our first brand deal with Manulife, which is a big financial company, right? Wow. We had a brand deal back in 2014 when no one we had that one in 2014 when no one had that. We had people who now when I look as guests, we had people like Paul C. Brenson, this relationship guy called Trent Shelton, and these people have millions of followers now, and we had them on our show when they had 17,000, and that was a big deal back, 17,000 Facebook followers. It's now they're superstars, and we had all these different people, and we're it was just a capacity thing why we couldn't keep it up, and a focus thing, because it was just a bit more of a lifestyle when I wanted to stay business and anyways. I look back at that now and I'm just imagine if we just continued, we were pioneering in the space. Now it's so normal to see, broadcast, but we were doing this before people had the tech, and we both had a broadcasting background. So it was already a level up. And so at the end of the day is we can sit there, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but didn't, because we didn't, right? But what are you doing now? Don't miss your next opportunity. And that comes back to, okay, what are we doing now? You're doing your show. You're grinding daily, and it does work. And you'll get people. And this is the thing. This is the secret, everybody, when it comes to content. You will always have people who never commented, never liked, never shared, never did nothing. But they're saying, hey, I watch your show all the time. I like the time when you talk to so-and-so. I like when you did this. And you're like, what? I didn't even know you cared. I didn't even know you existed. But yet,
where's that comment? I'm looking for that comment.
Exactly. And it's not coming. And we just need to okay, and be okay, and just keep grinding, because this is your social proof. This is people getting to know you in a different way and this is why we put content out there. This is just part of the grind. It is like a prescription for business. You have to put content out there. So one of the things that I work with now, especially in fact, I'm speaking at the American Marketing Association on one of their conferences in one of their chapters. And the one thing I'm talking about is people-powered marketing, because now we recognize that, especially in the B2B space, they have the most boring marketing. It's oh, another white paper. Oh, a link back to your website. I can't wait to go. Says no one ever, right? And it's especially the corporate space, especially people who feel like they have to be so formal with their business. Marketing has always taken cues from hip hop. Okay. And when Kendrick Lamar said it in his song Humble, it's like, I want to see some stretch marks. We want to see some real people, real humans. We don't want to see the stock photos with the quote. We don't want to see the perfect employee picture with the congratulations for 10 years. Like, we don't care about that, right? I don't want to go back to your website right now. Right? Like, show me some real people. And especially now in this time of this digital convergence, this digital accessibility to creating content, our expectations have been lowered from a production value, in the sense of we not expecting corporate to have like an entire television crew to produce content. It can be real, like this is more than good enough. This is fantastic, leveled up. So basically, we've come to a point where technology has caught up to a level of professionalism that it's not going to take away or distract from your brand, but you got to use the people.
Yeah. So talk about this. So, I think the amazing opportunity that exists right now versus 20 years ago is that you can create something, talking about TikTok, just in terms of a media creation tool, using just the software to create a video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Putting together basically a marketing commercial for your company. To your point, in terms of what corporate could be doing that a lot of corporations aren't doing, especially ones that have the budget, and I hear, on the financial side from folks that are part of financial organizations individually that, there's so many restrictions, but I think it's definitely going back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of they're focusing on what they can't do and not focusing on what they can do. And they use every excuse in the book because most likely it's not comfortable for them, or they're not really thinking creatively with what they actually can do and what they are allowed to do. And shame on the organizations that they're working with for their focus to be, and I understand it, everybody's, wants to protect the bottom line and make sure that they're protecting, the company and all that good stuff. But I think you can do that and focus on what you can do, which in the long run is really going to affect the bottom line a great deal more, especially when people pay for the mistakes all the time, regardless of what they're doing with their employees in terms of social media and all that stuff. There's worse problems to have. And I feel like I'm getting into the weeds with my language, but the idea that people really can get on here and use the current tools. And we see people that, even folks like yourself and I, that may have a more dynamic social media presence than companies with, 10, 100 times, 1,000 times the budget that we have for putting out social media.
Exactly. And it's really about, we go back down to the brass tacks of business. People do business with people, right? So at the end of the day, when you think about this opportunity, the people who are going to win in this next leg of the sprint, in the next leg of the race, are the people, whether you are in corporate or not. It's the social wheel gets the grease, right? So those people who are putting out content at a level, or at least positioning themselves. So when I look you up, I know what it is you do and how you can help me. I don't care what role you're in, what business you own, or what position you are in. You need to set yourself up for influence, right? So when you're influence, like the power that you have right now to influence people through your digital presence, it doesn't mean you have to go out on a full personal branding campaign and strategy. Some people, they're good staying at just make sure that your professional digital presence is straight. Even if you're not going to be regularly producing content, just have enough out there that when I'm looking you up, when I'm coming to you, because you're not going out to fish right now. So when I come to you and I find you, or I'm referred to you, I have enough to go on that I want to have a conversation with you. So it's
Will you run through some of those basics too? Because I feel like I can name some of those. I definitely see some of those pieces missing when I go up to look at line. But what are some of those basics that you're talking about that people should definitely have filled out on their profiles and different social medias?
So you want to make sure you show up like you show up. So like when they look you up, you look like you, right? And that's your photos, right? You want to make sure that you take time because this is that first brand impression that most people are going to get. They're going to look at your picture and they're going to look at your headline and then the cover photo. So that's the bigger photo behind you. And then we're talking right now LinkedIn, but so many social media outlets have the same sort of thing going on. But either way, your profile, you need to have these pieces in play. So that picture, and you need, let's lose the passport chic, the no facial expression. Like, let's get a facial expression that makes me want to work with you and don't look too cool for school unless like that's totally your brand and somehow that's working for you. It's about that approachable, friendly face. It's not a beauty contest. It's a friendly face. That's what I want to see. That's the person I want to work with. And again, your presence is designed to make people want to work with you, for you, or refer you. So when you're designing your presence with that mindset, now you got to let people know, and this is where you stand out. So in your headline, for example, and this is your mini bio, all your social media platforms, they have the capacity to have at least a mini bio. So that's one-liner or two-liner about you. And what are you telling people about you? Are you going to keep it really basic? Well, basic people don't get stuff, right? So you need to let people know exactly what it is you do. You need to differentiate. So like, for example, consultant. Okay. On to the next, because I don't know why I'm just going to talk to a consultant. Like, tell me what you do and how you help. Let me know. Differentiate yourself in that headline. And then again, how we show up, the level of professionalism that we bring to the table, the more we have. So then you got to think about, even if you're on Instagram, even if you're not active on Instagram, one of the things that I'm really starting to rethink, especially with Clubhouse, and I love Clubhouse, and Clubhouse right now feeds into Instagram more than it feeds into anywhere else, is what impression are you making on your first 9 photos? Or on LinkedIn, for example, you have a featured section where you can feature content. So this is your best of the best. This is a place for people to get in touch with you. Are you being strategic with those areas? So again, someone who has found you or has been referred to you now has some more information to go on that makes me want to think about them. So there's that. And that's just setting up your profile.
I love that. And I feel like you gave me some homework too, because I don't think I
Yes.
utilized that feature section in the LinkedIn well. So I feel like I'm learning too. So I know people are as well. Talk to me a little bit about, what should people be focused on? I think I look at my Instagram and I go up and down with things. I think it's also important for people to understand, I know one thing that's just helped me in this journey is not to compare myself to others, because I feel like that's where the feelings start to go downhill.
Oh, yeah, you totally be in your feelings. Do not compare your start to somebody else's middle. Just compare last month to this month. Was I consistent? Am I getting the right response for my content? What content actually worked? What content flopped? Right. And then looking at that content, was it because I shared it at the wrong time? Right? Or were there things that I could do to tweak it? Was it just the headline? Or do people really they don't care, right? But before we even get to content, you got to be building the network, because so many people think it's like post and ghost, right? They're just posting something and then they're out of there. And it's like, nah, bro, it ain't like that. Like, you need to get in there and you need to be building relationships. More business happens in the DMs, that the direct messages, than they happen on the news feed. The news feed is to get the attention. The direct messages and the network that you're building a strategic and tactical network that can help you meet your goals, and also that you can serve others in the same space. That is what you need to work on, and be intentional about your time. So it's not all about content. People focus way too much on content and not enough on the relationship building. We hear the word engagement all the time, but we often just relegate to comments and likes. I'm talking relationships. So sending people, and this is how you can accelerate these opportunities, by really touching them. And because right now we are so inundated with bot messages and sales messages that the minute there's a real person that actually sends us something that we kind of feel like it's real, especially if you send them a voice note or a video message, all of a sudden you immediately have my attention. And I feel like, going back to what I was saying before, like that everybody says this is not rocket science. We do business with people we know, like, and trust, right? So it's our job to get to know the people. It's our job to be intentional with the people that we are connecting with and diving deeper on relationships with. So that, I think, is more important. I know a lot of people, I don't put out inordinate amounts of content. I have a show that I do almost once every week. And then occasionally I'll post a few other things, and then I use stories a lot. So it doesn't require that much. And then I'm on Clubhouse. So it's like, you got to find your sweet spots of where you like to be and what is at your current capacity. Because that's the other thing. People play out of their capacity. So you got to be focused, but it's really about the relationships. The relationships lead to conversations that lead to business. And then, we're on a business development show. So it is about that. It's about these relationships.
Yeah. And it's about, useful uses of your time, right? Because people spend too much time in maybe meetings that aren't necessary. They spend time in a networking meeting that maybe they don't need to be in. So what's the better use of your time? And we're all refining, we're all defining and refining what we're doing, understanding better what the most value from that trade-off of time is. And you got to continually make those adjustments and make sure that, okay, I'm going to be consistent here. Is it worthwhile? Do I see a future here? I always, for some reason in my brain, I just go back to, with social media, I think about saving money. For some reason, It just really clicks the comparison there. If you want to grow and gain value, it's how are you saving, building a media cache that actually builds. I think one of the, as cool as Clubhouse is, I was on it and just going way too deep and up at 3 a.m. in the morning. And one of the reasons I was like, all right, I really got to pull back is that,
way back.
I wasn't creating anything that could be used over and over and over again.
No
Whereas
legacy.
This conversation that we have, it's going on YouTube. It'll be there to be useful to other people down the road. I think the things that we've talked about today are going to be useful to people going forward. In addition, it's useful to me because it's something that's going to build in terms of the brand and hours, and it builds into the social media stats. If I go live on Facebook, that's sort of lost in the feed. I am live on Facebook, but right now this media is being saved and stays on YouTube, which is the power of YouTube, right? And it's building this media cache that it's just growing because of the daily investment. And over time, like those videos that I posted in 2009, but this has gotten much more intentional. You're going to see that there's a growth to it. Do I know that I'm going to be the next Joe Rogan or any of the great folks that have built brands and been able to sold stuff off? Not necessarily, but you know that it's going somewhere with the consistency, and you tweak and you refine and you find a better way to do it. Linda Ray, who was commenting before, she was saying that they're not quite to that monetization piece. I appreciate it. Not yet. Still got to get the hours in because I got the subscribers, but
almost, Linda.
But they're building on it, and
yes.
It's there because of the consistency. And aside from that, they've already talked about how it's really helped their business. And so that consistency, it pays off. It may not seem like it today. It may not seem like it tomorrow for folks that are just getting started. But I know in my journey, I was like, I'm making at least a year commitment. Now I'm a year in, and I'm feeling very comfortable.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm feeling very comfortable. Because first of all, I really enjoy it. So going back to that piece of it, I really enjoy it. So it's finding that happy ground. If you're going to create media, you got to find either the things that you enjoy doing yourself or finding a way to pay for somebody else to do what they enjoy doing in terms of creating content for you. Going back to like the, us versus, some of these companies out here that have multi-million dollar marketing budgets, and you're looking at their what they're putting out on YouTube, for example. I mean, these are companies that produce commercials for television. Why aren't they, building these followings and community online? And they're not utilizing some of the information and tools that we're giving away for free here today to help their brands. They're just missing the boat because they're paying high-end marketing firms, and it's a little bit misdirected.
And there's part of that, like you need some of that, but now it's coming into that people-powered aspect of your content creation strategy. Like we want to see stretch marks. We want to see real people. We want to see real bums. like this is where society is going. This is the reality of the situation. We don't want to see fake. We're so faked out with fake bots, fake, email templates, fake everything. The minute we see something real, we stop. And why should we lose our minds and lose our intentionality when we take it to a corporate level? All of a sudden it's like, it's okay to be fake here. It's never okay to be fake. Yes, those pieces of content have purpose, but at the same time, they've got to mix it in and get my attention with what people are actually looking at. Because no one's really, really running to your website unless you caught them in the moment when they're already doing their research for you. If you just show up, I don't care. If I'm looking for you, maybe. And so it's like meeting both of those, or meeting the customer on the journey where they are right now, because they could be just in discovery.
Yeah, no, and it's getting past the fear of like letting people talk in your organization, be individual, letting especially if you're a larger company, but even if you're a smaller company, letting your people, to your point, seeing the stretch marks, seeing people be themselves because people want to buy from people. So when you're able to do that, and you're able to put it out, and then having that evergreen content where it's not just a one-time thing, right? We're not just getting together on a Zoom call and that's your one interaction. If you're putting out media where people get the chance to tell their story and that gets to be seen, it gets to be seen unlimited amount of times. By unlimited, to your point earlier about there's people that you don't even know. They're not commenting, but they're watching and they're paying attention, and it'll pay off, right? Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I feel like we delivered an enormous amount of value to the viewers and the folks that are part of my community. Thank you so much for that, Cher Jones. Talk to us about where we can reach you. I know I have your LinkedIn address, I believe, down in the description of the YouTube video and off to the side on Facebook, but where would you love people to come and find you? And who?
Come find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, find you on LinkedIn. And who would you like to find you?
Yeah. If you're running a business, if you, especially the service-based business, and anywhere where you're providing consulting or services, or if you're a leader within an organization where, you use people to accelerate your business, they need that training, or you need that training. So I would love for you to first and foremost, I can send you to my website, sociallyactivetraining.com, but I always recommend that you send people to where you're most actively social. And for me, that's LinkedIn. And that's where I can send you to my website. But if you don't see anything you need right now, then bye, I don't see you anymore. But if we're connected, then we can have that conversation and then I can get to know you better. So come join me on LinkedIn or any of the other social media platforms. It's Cher Jones. So ITS Cher Jones on Twitter, on Instagram, over on Clubhouse. So it's Cher Jones. That's who I am.
I love it. And just to echo a point you were making earlier, DM her, right? That's the right way. And check out your stuff just like many people would, right? Get into the DMs, interact. I think all of us folks that are in this space that are putting ourselves out there, we love hearing from you. So please do that. Cher, I'll let you have the final word here. Say goodbye to everybody, and I'll play us off with the BizDev theme here.
Love it. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is a fantastic time, Cameron. I appreciate just being on your show. I mean, it was awesome. So thank you for inviting me. And thank you, everybody. I look forward to getting in touch.
Thanks, Cher.
BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.